G'day ladies and germs, Conor here from C-Dubs Media, back with another video. And today we're looking at the Oppo A80, the latest in the A series from Oppo, their budget version, 369 Aussie dollars, which is about $1 US. So let's get stuck into the video. Let's go. I have been using this for about a week. It is a good little all-rounder, especially for the price, which I just mentioned. Links down below if you do want to pick one up. And also comments down below if you do have any questions regarding this device. Now, I've been using it for pretty much everything. I've even taken my notes on it for this review, so I can say that I have definitely put it through its paces. Now, the first thing Oppo wants me to tell you is that it is a very durable device. They're calling it 360-degree damage-proof armor. What do they mean by that? Well, they mean that it's IP54 rated, and they do also talk about thermal protection. I don't know what you're going to get in regards to thermal protection on a $369 device, but they definitely say that it does have IP54, which is dust and a splash here and there, a bit of sweat, maybe a few raindrops, but it's certainly not IP68, which is what you do get really from mid-range up these days, but definitely not low end. So something to consider there. I think it's a bit of marketing spiel, but it's nice that you can get a raindrop on it here and there. And they're also calling it anti-drop shield protection for enhanced protection. So they're saying that you could probably drop it here and there. I don't think they're going to want you to drop it, and I don't think they're going to hold that as a guarantee. I think if you drop it and smash it, too bad. So it is a lot of marketing, I believe, to try and just grab a bit more out of that low-end consumer market, but it is what it is. Now, the screen-to-body ratio is 89.9%, which is pretty good, and I have to say that I'm pretty impressed with the amount of bezels here on the device. The chin is a little bit bigger than the forehead, which I don't really mind. To me, a candy bar phone is a candy bar phone. I actually don't look at the bezels. I just look at the display that I'm looking at. It is also pushing 120 Hz refresh rate. Like, remember when you couldn't even get 90 Hz refresh rate in a flagship? Wasn't that long ago? Well, now we've got it in the low-end market. It also comes in at 1000 nits peak brightness, which is good enough. I mean, you're going to be able to see it in bright sunlight. I was using it outdoors to do some video and some photography. And yes, it was a little bit hard at times, 36 degrees in the bright Aussie sun, but I could still see what I was doing, so it's definitely bright enough. Now, it is a 6.67-inch display, and it comes in at 7.86 millimeters in thickness. So it's a typical candy bar phone, but you know, most phones these days are around that 6.6, 6.7 inches diagonal, and that's what we got here. So I don't think it's a bad display for the price. It also weighs 186 grams and comes in two colors. Starry black, which is what we have here, and also moonlight purple. I haven't seen the purple one, so I can't comment, but the black one is pretty standard, looks nice, looks like a phone. You know, it is so hard for phones these days to stand out, to be competitive. And Oppo does try and stand out here in one area, and that's offering a little bit of AI. Now, they do offer this AI link boost, which is supposed to be smart switching between your SIM card and your Wi-Fi network and different networks that you can connect to. It's supposed to use AI algorithms to determine which is the best one for you. Now, it does also offer some AI in another way, and that is with some photo editing. It's actually called AI Eraser. And here on this day, I was outside and I took a selfie. As you can see, I look beautiful. And off in the distance was this little hut or shelter that we were cooking under. And I circled that, and the AI Eraser removed it magically, as all AI erasing tools do. But then here's another photo of me taking a selfie indoors, and I just tried to remove this connection off the wall. Just maybe it looked ugly and I didn't want it there in the photo, and it removed it, but it put something else in the photo, which is disturbing. The thing that it put in the photo, it's not really an object. It's just like this splotch of color. So it was hit and miss, but it's here in the low end and we can use it. So we have to be thankful for that. Now we also have a 5100 milliamp hour battery here, which takes a couple of hours to charge. It's not the fastest charger in the world. I think it's 45 watts Super VOOC charging, but it charges pretty quickly. But the main thing for me is that I was getting about 2 days use out of it. If I use it sparingly, or my usage was like mid-level, then I would definitely get 2 days out of it. If you're a heavy user, I don't think it matters what phone, you're probably only going to get 1 day. But this is no different. Definitely though, 2 days use out of a full charge. And in there is probably related to the software and the hardware. The hardware here, we have the MediaTek 6300 chipset, and then we have 8 gigs of RAM with another 8 gigs of expandable storage. So whatever, we've got 8 official gigs of RAM here. And I think that in turn with the ColorOS 14 and Android 14, which is nicely optimized on these Oppo devices, gives you that ability to get 2 days of battery life out of it. Now with that software and hardware mix, I also got some pretty good performance results. Here I am gaming Asphalt 9, and as you can see, it runs pretty smoothly. There is not too many skip frames, barely noticeable if you're just doing some basic gaming, and scrolling, there's a little bit of lag here and there, but that's more with the phone trying to load the web pages quickly rather than the onboard ability to scroll smoothly, especially with that 120 Hz refresh rate. So I think it's pretty impressive for the price. $369, MediaTek 6300, 8 gigs of RAM, ColorOS 14, Android 14, 5100 milliamp hour battery life. We have a pleasant experience here. Holy crap, I'm running out of time. My battery's running out. Now I do want to point out, typical Oppo low end, fingerprint scanner, but face recognition works pretty good. Always does with Oppo, and it's definitely faster than the fingerprint scanner on the side of the device. I use the face unlock. It works a treat. How secure is that? I don't know. I haven't been hacked because of an Oppo phone, but you can decide whether that's something you want to risk. Now, just quickly, I'm going to talk about the camera. For most of the camera conversation though, I'm actually going to use this phone and the video modes that are on it. But I do want to mention, it does have portrait retouching, which to me is AI in photography. Now it can give me bigger eyes and thinner jaw, and it can remove blemishes and all these sorts of things. So it actually doesn't even look like me in some of these photos. It's just absurd that it can do that. But I know for a lot of people these days, it's important that you look really fake. And Oppo can give you that. Just like Apple, they can give you that ability to retouch your photos straight out of camera and you get a fake looking version of yourself. Not really my style, I do turn it off, but it is there. And it's not just there in photo mode, it is also there in video mode as well. Now you do also get Pro mode here. It's not the best, but it does give you some control over your camera settings. That's enough of me talking about that. Here, let's go outdoors and see what it looks like. Front facing camera 1080p 30 frames per second. It's blown out. I'm well exposed, but everything that's brighter than me isn't. So there's your capabilities there. Just out for a day, bit of a day trip. Now the rear facing camera does also, it only does 1080p 60 frames per second as opposed to 1080p 30, so I'll switch to that in a moment, but generally speaking the camera is very average, but it is the A series. You would expect average camera for that price, and this is low end, so camera you can't expect much, but in good lighting you're going to get a good photo and you're going to get good portrait shots and stuff like that as long as you've got good lighting. And here I am, 1080p 60 on the rear facing camera, and just following on from what I was saying, was any sort of artificial light, man-made light, or after sunset is where you're going to face problems with a camera at this price point. Not just this Oppo A80 camera, but any camera. But it's good enough. If this is all you can afford, then you're going to get pretty good results. I don't mind this camera. Tell me what you think. 1080p 60? Comments down below. I'm interested to know. Now, if you do use beauty mode on the Oppo A80, you do lose some video quality. It drops back to 720p. And there's not any stabilization here either. So this is actually being very steadily held by my hand. I'm very still, but you can see the camera is moving around a lot. So you don't get a lot, but you don't have to pay a lot. So you just decide whether that suits you or not. And also you can use some filters. Obviously here we're in black and white mode. You can also use vivid mode and many other different modes. You can play around with it, get some fun results and share them on social media, that sort of thing. I don't expect you to be doing much with the photo and video from this camera after you've filmed it or taken the photo. So it's perfectly fine for sharing on WhatsApp, Facebook, whatever, Snapchat. You'll be fine. Check out the stash. The stash is good. Now I do also want to mention it does have a lot of cool Oppo features in the software. One of them is the theming mode. I do use this a lot when I'm using Oppo phones. You can really go in and customize it way more than you could on, say, a Google device. So that to me is pretty impressive. I like how it looks. I like how I can personalize it. And I do like some of the other features in the Oppo devices like double tap to unlock, double tap to lock. They're actually really handy everyday features that you don't always get with other manufacturers, especially at this price point. And I also should mention that I did have to uninstall, this is a bit of a shit kicker, I did have to uninstall about 10 plus apps. And how do you pay for a phone like this? Well, you let other people put their apps all over it. And I had to just take so many off, so many games and all sorts of garbage on here. At least you can remove it, except for some of the Oppo apps. They're stuck on there and you might have to disable those. But for the most part, you can uninstall the apps that aren't from Oppo. You can get rid of them pretty easily. Now the camera is a 50 megapixel on the rear and then a 2 megapixel depth sensor. And then the front facing camera is an 8 megapixel selfie cam. So pretty much what you would expect. They do perform well enough for the photos. You're going to get good detail in bright light. You're going to get quite high saturation in good lighting. And it really performs quite well in good lighting. Once you start to get the sun go down or in artificial light, then you're going to start to see some problems. But for the most part, and the price point, you're going to get a fairly reasonable experience here with the camera. That is my video on the Oppo A80. The latest edition in the A series. I hope you liked it. Comments down below if you did or didn't like this video. Tell me why. I'll try and improve it, or I will block you, one or two. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next video. Check ya.